TV2 Sports takes you tonight to the pit, which is Phillipsburg High School for the Delaware Valley Terriers and the Phillipsburg Stateliners tonight. It's Skyland Conference Wrestling across the river in New Jersey on TV2 Sports. Good evening, everybody. I'm Doug Heater, joined by my partner, Jake Llewellyn. And Jake, can this building withstand two exceptional nights of wrestling? Last night, Phillipsburg here in the pit took on the Northampton Concrete Kids. A tough loss for Phillipsburg, 33-24. They have another outstanding one tonight against Del Val. Del Val comes in undefeated, and they're looking to start and continue that season undefeated with a big win against Phillipsburg tonight.
Doug, the only thing that gets better for two home meets in 1 week for the Phillipsburg fans is if they would wrestle again on Saturday night at home. Fans certainly love it. Wednesday night, Thursday night, this is happening in Phillipsburg, New Jersey.
The Del Val Terriers come in at 6-0 under sixth-year head coach Paul Petro. This is a team that has not defeated Phillipsburg since 1993, has not won here in the pit since 1984. They are undefeated. They are the defending Group 2 runners-up. They are looking to continue the season undefeated, make a run at a Group 2 championship, and if they plan on doing that, they hope to win against the Stateliners tonight.
Well, you know, we talked to Mike Rossetti ahead of the telecast tonight. Mike told us it's going to be a track meet for Phillipsburg. They're going to have to get out and get a big lead early, because they expect the Terriers are going to make a strong comeback into heavier weights.
The Stateliners are coached by Greg Troxel. Mike Rossetti is one of the assistants, along with Kevin Kane, and they come in with just one loss on the season, 7-1. And Jake, we have talked about it all season long, how difficult to schedule the Stateliners wrestler. 8 of the top 11 teams in the state of New Jersey, the top 4 teams in District 11, Nazareth, Northampton, Easton, and Freedom. Just the one loss a night ago. This is a team, Phillipsburg, that has not lost to 3 New Jersey schools since 1975. They did it a season ago. They don't want to get their first Jersey loss tonight against Del Val.
No doubt about it, Doug. Phillipsburg wrestles the toughest teams in New Jersey and probably the toughest teams in Pennsylvania right across the river.
For Del Val tonight, they have 2 returning wrestlers up top, which makes this lineup much stronger. Jeremy and Josh Worst, the twins, they have not wrestled. They got certified right after the new year. Paul Petro says having them back in the lineup, especially tonight, makes this team strong tonight and throughout the rest of the season.
It'll be interesting. I don't know too much about the Delaware Valley team. We did see them last year once on the TV2 wrestling telecast, but I know that Phillipsburg really takes them seriously, and they think they're going to have a tough time with Del Val tonight.
And you take a look at Phillipsburg. Jake, they wrestled Northampton last night. That's an emotional loss, an emotional match. Are you drained? Are you ready for another one?
That's a good possibility. They're going to get a 1-pound weight allowance in that they wrestled last night. Could have taken a little wind out of their sails last night to lose to Northampton in a really emotionally charged match that they did lose in a tight one here at the pit.
Well, we saw a wild one last night here at the pit. We're ready for another one. Del Val and Phillipsburg is next on TV2 Sports. Welcome back to the pit. Phillipsburg, New Jersey, Delaware Valley, and the Phillipsburg Stateliners. The Stateliners are are 7-1 on the season. Their lone loss was to Northampton. They have had an awfully tough schedule this season, but they have defeated teams like Freedom, which was an exciting matchup last Saturday, 30-24. This team, third in this year's 101 tournament with 5 champions. The Stateliners, as usual, a very talented team in the state of New Jersey. Del Val comes in now 6-0 on the season. And over the weekend, 2 big wins over Phillipsburg, Osceola at the Easton Peaburg duels in Saucon Valley, 31-29. Paul Petro says his team is improving and he hopes to have a good chance tonight.
I expect this is going to be a very good dual meet tonight. I expect a competitive matchup against Del Val and Peaburg. You know, when when Northampton wrestles Freedom down the road, that should be a real interesting dual meet based on comparative scores and how they did against common opponents, namely Phillipsburg, New Jersey.
We're underway at 103. On the mat for Delaware Valley, he's a freshman, Brian Costello, who is 6-6, taking on sophomore Robert Awe, who is 10-2.
A freshman Costello versus a sophomore Awe. Both wrestlers neutral. Robert Awe works around the edge of the circle. Costello tries to hand fight. Costello tries to hit a little single leg snag, not able to penetrate. Tries to hit the single again. Robert Awe kind of keeps him off balance with a collar tie. Keeps him from penetrating with that tie. Looks like he's into the headgear a little bit, but now he goes around the collar. I get a stalemate called by referee Guy Siraki. 2 New Jersey officials working tonight. Joe Longo, who I know very well, and Guy Siraki, his partner.
These two met already this season in the Hunter and Warren tournament finals, all defeating Costello by fall in the first period, 118.
Costello hits a nice pick right at the knee. Elbow trap to the knee pick, almost like a fireman's, but he kind of picked it almost like a heel pick at the knee. No takedown yet. Daisaraki holds the call. Robert Orr tries to put a leg and come up on top of the power half. Phillipsburg fans want control, and there are takedowns awarded to Phillipsburg's Robert Orr. Costello had a nice shot. He just not able to finish the shot. Coming down to 35 seconds remaining in the first period. Robert Orr rides tough on top of Brian Costello. Rides an inside wrist. Tight waist. Tries to pull the wrist out. Costello's got to try hard to score here before the end of the period. 15 seconds to wrestle in the first period. All leads 2-0. All puts in a far half Nelson. Tries to tuck the head underneath of Costello. Period's going to end. All leads 2-0.
Costello, a freshman, has that runner-up finish in the Hunter and Warren tournament as we look at Phillipsburg head coach Greg Troxel for the first time tonight. Costello also placed fourth in a John Goals tournament. There is Paul Petro, the head coach of the Delaware Valley Terriers. Greg in his third season, Paul in his sixth. Awe is a sophomore, district third last season, finished the year at 9-16. Won this year's Hunter and Warren tournament and the Mustang Classic wrestled at Brick Memorial High School.
I'll tell you what, I'm impressed with Costello for a freshman. Tough for a freshman to come in here into the pit and perform, and he's done fairly well.
Well, we have the random start this year in New Jersey, and ironically, it begins at 103. And when I talked to Paul Petro and Mike Rossetti about it, asked them if they would have preferred to start at another spot, Paul Petro said it doesn't really matter against a team like Phillipsburg, but it's awfully tough. And Delva has two freshmen at 103 and at 112 to come into this building and get things started.
All games in neutral. Takes a 3-0 lead over Costello. Almost halfway through the bout. 1 minute and 5 seconds remain in the second period. We have to look behind us to see the score here in the Phillipsburg gym, Doug. They only have the match score on one side of the gym. They have the bout score on the other side. Under a minute in the second period. All leads 3-0 over Costello. Kind of coincidental that when they drew for weights, they drew 103. You're absolutely right. I expected to have a different weight start tonight. All gets a takedown, leads 5-0. Rides tough on top of freshman Brian Costello of Delaware Valley. Tries to go far elbow trap, and they try to turn the head to the knee to lock up a cross-face cradle. Not able to do that. He actually has an inside leg trap. Now he's trying to go far half Nelson and turn the head of Costello. Costello trying to peel hands. Coming down to 15 seconds remaining in the second period. All leads 5-0 and is riding tough on top of Brian Costello. Full house here tonight at the pit, Doug. I don't think there is a seat available.
Well, two big dual meets back-to-back. Northampton last night, Del Val tonight. And Jake, when you look at this series between Del Val and Phillipsburg, they have wrestled, this being the 27th time. Del Val has defeated Phillipsburg only 4 times, 75, 82, 84, and 93. 84 was the last time Del Val beat Phillipsburg here, and 93 was the last time they defeated the Stateliners, and that, of course, at Del Val's gym. Vince Fitz, the head coach in 82 and 84, and Jody Karam, the head coach in 1993.
Well, you mentioned two of the assistant coaches here. Coach Hall was on the 84 team.
Lee Hall was a junior that season.
And Coach Connolly wrestled for Del Val when they beat Phillipsburg in 93.
93, yes.
So I'm sure they've imparted that to the team all week, what it's like to beat Phillipsburg, particularly beating them here at the Phillipsburg pit on the Phillipsburg mat.
The score a season ago was close, and we saw it here on TV2 at Del Val, 32-25. Over the 6 seasons that Paul Petro has been at Del Val, the scores have gotten closer, and that, of course, is due to the fact that his team has gotten better, and he's got a solid one again this year.
We're in the third period, less than a minute. All still leads 5-0 in trying to convert a takedown on Costello. Costello locked around the body. Referee Guy Siraki looking closely. Joe Longo's telling him he thinks he has a takedown there, and Guy Siraki gives it. Joe Longo came right out and looked a little closely and said, I think that's 2, and Guy Siraki put the 2 up. Costello spins out, faces him for a neutral. Immediately spins around and gets a takedown. He leads 9-1, Doug, with about 20 seconds to wrestle in the bout. This will be a major decision. Costello wants to get out here.
15 seconds.
Del Val coach is imploring Costello to get his head up off the mat and try to get a neutral here on Robert Awe. Awe's going to win 9-1 and get a major decision, and P-Berg's going to take a 4-0 lead in the dual meet. Here's a takedown where we said Joe Longo. That's Joe Longo, the assistant there, leaning over the wrestlers. He comes out and takes a real close look at it, looks at Guy Siraki and said, I think that's 2, and walks away, and Guy Siraki puts the 2 up. Good job of working together as the officials, I should say. Good communication between Joe Longo and Guy Siraki.
And good start for the State Liners. A major decision at 103. They go to 112. On the mat for Delaware Valley is freshman Chris Kelly. He is 9-3, and he will take on freshman Brandon Stillo for Phillipsburg, who is 9-4.
Stillo seems to me as a very seasoned freshman, Doug. We saw him earlier against Freedom on Saturday night last week, and I watched a little bit of that match last night. And I'll tell you what, Stillo's a tough kid for a 9th grader. Wrestling another freshman, Chris Kelly of the Delaware Valley Terriers. Kelly takes a shot, blocked off by Stillo. Stillo tries to lock up a cement job from the front. Tight lock on the front headlock. And they go to bounds neutral.
Chris Kelly, the freshman, in the one tournament that he wrestled and placed at this season, it was a 3rd-place finish. The John Goals tournament. The John Goals tournament, a yearly tournament wrestled at Warren Hills High School.
Johnny Goals was a longtime coach at Warren Hills. He's from Kingston, Pennsylvania. I'm pretty sure he's from Wilkes-Barre or Kingston, Pennsylvania, Johnny Goals, before he migrated to New Jersey to be the coach at Warren Hills for many years. Coach Arnie Thompson, who was an outstanding wrestler at Bloomsburg, who later was the head coach at Warren Hills. Followed his mentor, Johnny Goals. Nice shot by Kelly. Hits a single leg, almost like a fireman. If he can block the far hip, he's going to get a takedown. Joe Longo looking at it very closely. No control given yet. Still's going to try to get his hips up on top and get a takedown off the shot of Kelly. This is the same thing that happened to Costello in the first bout. He was close to getting a takedown. He didn't finish, and P-Berg was able to score on a counter. Stillo leads 2-0 off Kelly's shot. Rides tough on top. He's going to try to go far elbow trap, I think. Cross face to the far elbow. You see his leg trap. He's going to try to work that cross face to the elbow. See where he goes here. Now he goes into a 2-on-1 on the wrist. Chris Kelly's got to get his head up off the mat and try to gain a neutral here. Short time left in the first period. And it's going to end with Stillo leading Kelly 2-0. He was very close to getting a takedown, Doug. Just did not quite get it on Stillo. Allowed Stillo to come on top and gain the takedown on his own.
The State Liners a season ago finished their year at 17-5. They lost in the Group 4 finals to Apsagami, a team that they lost to 2 times last season. I mentioned in the open that they have not lost to 3 New Jersey teams since 1975. They did it a year ago. The other team they lost to was Kittatinny. Apsagami is the top-ranked team in the state this year, #1 in Group 4 as well. Kittatinny is the top-ranked team in Group 2, the group that Delaware Valley is in. They are ranked 2nd.
Stillo rides tough on top of Kelly. Tries again to work to that far elbow trap. Kelly tries to set up a roll, and he does that. Gets to Peterson here. There's control given by Joe Longo. And he's got a count out. Now he gives a reversal to P-Berg. I think Kelly's going to get 2 for reversal and 2 back for Stillo to make it 4-2. I'm pretty sure, Doug. Now Stillo's going to get back points. Joe Longo drops down, and he's in a count. Stillo's got both boots in. He's got a tight lock on the head. He's going to try to stretch him here and pin him. You see Kelly fighting on the bottom. Kelly fights off. Joe Longo comes up and indicates 3 back points. Stalling warning on the bottom wrestler. Stillo leads 7-2. 20 seconds to wrestle in the second period. Kelly hit a nice Peterson roll, got 1 count on back points, and Stillo came right back up on top of him. We have some blood in the mouth of Kelly, and we're going to get injury time, or excuse me, blood injury time to Delaware Valley. Here we see Greg Troxel talking to Stillo. Here we see when he locks, he puts both boots in. You see the legs are in. He's locked around the head. Now he's going to try to stretch him. Joe Longo, you see, looking very closely. Now you can see the shoulder blade of Kelly is off the mat. I'll tell you what, had Stillo been able to lock that thing up, Kelly would have been in trouble.
That's about as close as you're going to get. Kelly did a nice job to stay off his back.
Sure did. He fought hard to get off. I'd like our camera to see if we can get a shot of the front row of the P-Berg bench on the left behind Greg Troxel. They've got 6 assistant coaches on the bench, not counting Bobby Weaver, who's wearing a P-Berg sweatshirt.
Kevin Kane is along in that staff. Mike Rossetti. Greg Troxel, 2-time state champion. Kevin Kane, a 1-time. Mike Rossetti, a single-time state champion, I believe. Bobby Weaver, an Olympic gold medalist.
That's right. He was a state champion in Pennsylvania a couple times. There we go. We see trainer Dwayne Brita on the far left, but the guys in shirts and ties are all P-Berg wrestling coaches. Greg Troxel standing there.
And Jared Hosbach has joined that staff this season. Kevin Kane is in the yellow, and Mike Rossetti is in the white shirt.
Looks like a Philadelphia law firm.
Rossetti, Kane, and Troxel.
And associates, including Olympic gold medalist Bob Weaver. Stillo puts a leg in, tries to work a split on Kelly. Kelly scrambles to his base. Period's going to end. Stillo leading 7-2, I believe.
There's Greg Troxel, his 3rd season. His team's 40-10 over his 3 years now. Paul Petro in his 6th season, 69-33. Lee Hall on our right, Petro's left, his assistant coach.
Stillo peels hands, stands, tries to get away from Kelly. Kelly brings her to the mat. Joe Longo looks for a lock, says there was none. Good call. Kelly tries to trip him down. They're going to go out of bounds and have a restart. Stillo on the bottom.
And now tonight, Jake, we are seeing the rotating referees. We've seen 2, but we have never seen this season the rotating referees.
Didn't we see a couple rotate already? We usually saw an assistant, but I think we did have a situation once this season.
Well, the Easton P-Berg duels, we saw rotation, but I don't believe we saw one in the... Did we see that?
Yeah, we did.
Did we see Chris Gramis rotate?
Gramis rotated,
yeah.
Yep. Trying to think who he worked with. Might have been Malott. Gramis and Malott.
I think it was.
Chris Gramis showed up expecting to ref the first time at Easton against Nazareth, and they decided they only wanted one official to work, and that was Jerry Rodriguez. Jerry reffed the match, and Chris Gramis was his assistant. But I'm pretty sure Jimmy Malott and Gramis showed up and rotated. It might have been in Parkland.
I think you're right.
And yes, you're right. At the P-Berg duels, we had 3 officials rotate. Bob Coletto on his birthday, Gene Wass, and Antonio Phillips. And they all 3 did an outstanding job in that bout. We're under a minute in the 3rd period. Stillo leads 8-2. And gains the reversal to lead 10-2, and that's going to be good enough for a bonus point if it should finish 10-2. Here again, Del Val could save the team a point if Kelly could gain a neutral with 30 seconds to wrestle in the third period.
Paul Petro mentioned down low, the first four, limiting the bonus points, the first four, Phillipsburg would be considered favorites, and they've given up one at 103, the major by Awe.
Those points could loom critical later in the final analysis. But they were that close to only giving up a 3-point decision at both 103 and 112. And it looks like Peeberg's going to get 4 points at each weight to take an 8-point lead early in the dual meet. And the third period comes to a close, and it's going to happen just like that. Stillo wins 10-2. Peeberg leads 8-0 over Delaware Valley.
Stillo now improving to 10-4. And here's the reversal at the end.
Hits a switch, comes around and gains the reversal, steps over the leg. See the bottom wrestler Kelly loses restraint with his left arm. The referee Joe Longo awarded the reversal, and that's where they finished.
119 pounds for the Delaware Valley Terriers. John Updike, the sophomore, at 5-5, and he will take on Trevor Duddy, the senior for Phillipsburg, who is 8-2.
Updike versus Duddy at 119.
Duddy is a two-time district champion for Phillipsburg, three-time Hunter and Warren tournament medalist. He has 2 runners-up and 1 championship finish. Duddy placed 4th in last year's Brick Memorial Tournament, and he has a career record now of 48-24.
Nice barrel roll maneuver by Duddy. Gets a takedown, leads 2-0. Immediately tries to go cross-face cradle on Updike. Tries to work the far elbow trap. Updike crawls out of bounds. We're going to restart in the center. Peeberg fans love this. Wednesday night wrestling, Thursday night wrestling. Like I said, the only thing better would be a Saturday night home meet, and they have 3 dual meets in 1 week in Phillipsburg.
Updike, who is a sophomore, has a 500 record of 5-5. Was a runner-up in the John Doles tournament this season for Del Val. Their 2 preseason or early season tournaments was the Hunter and Warren and the John Doles tournament. Phillipsburg wrestling in the Brick Memorial or Mustang Classic, and also the Hunter and Warren tournament.
Duddy has an arm barred. He's trying to go across the head and pick it up into a figure 4. He was close to locking his scissors on the head. He's got to keep that 4 right behind the knee of the other leg. Not able to work the figure 4 on the head. Comes back and works on a tight waist rise. Duddy leads 2-0. 30 seconds to wrestle in the first period. Tries to pull Updike across on a tight waist and a near wrist. Now he's going to work the head lever. Now he's going to work the head lever into a bar. Now it looks like he's going to reinforce the bar with a tight waist. And now he's going to try to work a tilt. Under 10 seconds, Greg Troxel wants him to try to turn it. He's telling him, come on. Period's going to end with Duddy in the lead, 2-0 over Updike.
After 1 period, Trevor Duddy leads 2-0.
The Terriers finished their season last year 18-5. They made it all the way to the Group 2 championships, losing to Kittatinny 34-18. Del Val's history, 7 Group 2 titles, and they placed 3rd in last year's District 17 tournament in New Jersey behind Hunterdon Central and North Hunterdon.
Neutral gained. 1 point for Updike. Duddy comes in trying to set up a takedown. Duddy hits a little bit of a heel pick, knocks him down, gains a takedown. That neutral, Doug, I saw you looking. That neutral was for Duddy. He put the red cuff up. The red cuff indicates the visiting team. I don't know if he's making Peeberg red because of the garnet uniforms. Maybe that's the case. But nonetheless, Duddy leads 5-0. Just gained a takedown to take a 5-0 lead. So Duddy gained the neutral, and Duddy got a takedown here first minute into the second period. Leads 5-0 over Opdyke. Look to watch referee signals. I don't know if Guy Siraki knew he put the red cuff up or he did it with intent to make Phillipsburg the red team. Duddy rides tough on top. Phillipsburg fans want a stalling call against Opdyke. He's trying to maintain his base. Duddy riding with a tight waist to the near wrist. Traps the leg. Top man's warned for stalling. Good call by Guy Siraki. He really was not trying to work for the fall there. And there weren't too many people protesting the call. Not a bad call at all. It's going to get the action going here because Trevor Duddy's going to show optional start. And he's going to cut Opdyke loose. Opdyke spins and gains the neutral. Comes to his feet in the middle circle. Duddy leads 5-1. 35 seconds to wrestle in the second period. Duddy knows it is time for one good shot. Hits a single. There's a stalling warning on Delaware Valley. Duddy changes off to a double. He's going to get the takedown. Guy Siraki awards the two. And Duddy's going to try to ride tough on top of Opdyke for the last 15 seconds of the second period. Opdyke tries to tripod up. Duddy puts in legs and tries to maintain control on top. Less than 5 seconds. Period's going to end. Duddy leads 7-1.
After 2 periods, Trevor Duddy leads 7-1.
Here we see Duddy penetrates. It's that knee pick again. It's kind of like a heel pick, but he picks his opponent right at the knee. He must clutch right into the tendon right behind the knee. There's a second takedown. Comes in, changes a single to a double. Trevor Duddy looking tough on his feet tonight against Opdyke.
This Terrier team has just a couple seniors in it, and at the bottom, we talked about how difficult it can be to wrestle here. At the bottom, starting at 103, 2 freshmen, a sophomore and a junior, and then another sophomore up at 130 in the first 5 weight classes. So it's awfully tough to get things started, especially against a tough Phillipsburg team year in and year out that seems to have a range of ages down at the bottom. They usually start off with a freshman or two, and then they get depth up and around 119, 125.
You know, this is great experience for those young wrestlers to come into the pit, into a hostile environment, to perform under pressure. There's no way to get experience but to be there and do it. There's a stalling warning against Opdyke. A point goes up for Phillipsburg's Trevor Duddy, who presses the action on his feet in the third period. He now leads 8-2, and he's looking for bonus points. A takedown here would give him a 4-point decision. It'll be the third major in a row for Phillipsburg. Duddy knows his role. He needs the takedown here. There's a lot of time, 1 minute and 10 seconds in the third period. Tries to turn the corner and change off to a double. Opdyke tries to hang on the ankle and not give it up. There the takedowns gained. Under a minute in the bout. Duddy immediately cuts him loose. He's more comfortable to work on his feet. He leads 10-3. Opdyke takes a couple shots. Duddy backs away. Duddy takes a shot. Opdyke shots. Takes a shot. Duddy takes a reshot on a fireman's. No control yet. There's the takedown. Duddy now leads 12-3. Under 20 seconds in the bout. Rides a little bit high. Mike Rossetti tells him, knock the arms out, take him to the mat. And Duddy does just that. Under 10 seconds in the bout. Trevor Duddy leads Opdyke 12-3.
Third straight major. 12-0 Phillipsburg. Duddy now at 9-2. And the State Liners have started off strong.
Well, the senior Trevor Duddy had a very good performance against a tough sophomore, John Opdyke of Del Val. And here we see he hits that little bit of fireman's. Gains control for the takedown. That was the last takedown that gave him the extra bonus point for Phillipsburg.
Phillipsburg has 10 takedowns. Del Val yet to score their first one. And we will go to 125 pounds. 12-0 Phillipsburg. Keith Marcus on the mat for the Terriers. Marcus is a junior at 10-3, taking on Dan Buss. Buss is a senior at 10-3 as well.
Del Val's got to get out of the gates here, Doug. They got to get a win, get on the board, start to mount a comeback against Peaburg.
And this should be a matchup that they could feel that they have a chance at. Marcus at 10-3 finished third in the District 17 tournament a year ago. Finished the year at 18-14. Marcus is a two-time Hunter and Warren medalist, third both times. He has a career record of 38-32.
No score first period. Senior Buss against the junior Marcus. As you mentioned, each has an identical 10-3 record.
Phillipsburg weighed in Kyle McRoberts up at 130. Marcus beat McRoberts in the Hunter and Warren tournament for that third place finish, 12-5. Might have been the strategy why you put him up at 130 to take on Del Val's Ricky Kurtz. Buss at 10-3. He is a senior, was a district champion a year ago for the State Liners, finished the year at 20-14, was third in this year's Brick Memorial Tournament, won the Hunter and Warren Tournament, and Buss now with a career record of 30-16.
Coming down to 30 seconds left in the first period. We have no score at 125 pounds.
A relatively quiet crowd tonight in the pit.
So far, Doug, I think it's going to get a little more heated as the action gets a little thicker in the dual meet. I'm sorry, go ahead, Doug.
I was going to say, up to this point, Phillipsburg obviously has out-wrestled Del Val on their feet with 10 takedowns and none by Delaware Valley just yet. And they've worked hard for the majors. No falls just yet, but they have worked extremely hard and been effective with the three major decisions.
Tell you what, they scored quite a few takedowns off defensive shots, too. Del Val did a lot of shooting where Peaburg would come up with the takedown. I was going to mention we saw Mike New, the head wrestling coach at Princeton, here tonight in the stands. I know Mike's looking at a few of the Peaburg and Delaware Valley wrestlers, trying to recruit them at Princeton University.
Princeton takes on Lehigh tomorrow night at Grace Hall.
Tell you what, that program's really come around. They have a tough team. They're one of the tougher teams in the Ivy League, and they compete very well right there in Easton. Reversal scored by Buss. He's going to take a 2-0 lead. He tried to reverse Marcus to his back, not able to do that. There Joe Longo puts up the reversal, and I guess Peaburg is red. For whatever reason, because they wear red uniforms, I guess the officials designate them as red. Normally the home team would be green and the visiting team would be red. The arm's a little bit high there. Surprised Joe Longo's let him work that high. Now he changes over, tries to take a chin and a half Nelson. He has the hammerlock on the back of Marcus. Now the arm comes free, goes to a far elbow trap, tries to work a cross-face cradle. Joe Longo looking in, looking closely at Marcus, wants to see if he's okay on the bottom. Buss leads 2-0 on the strength of a second period reversal. Trying to work the far elbow trap on Keith Marcus. He's going to try to tilt him. Unable to do it. There's a stalling warning on the bottom wrestler. Joe Longo hits Marcus with a warning for stalling for passivity on the bottom. 10 seconds to wrestle in the second period. Buss rides tough on top. Joy's third period is going to go to Marcus. I wonder if he'll take the bottom. Buss rode him for over a minute that period. Here we're going to see the reversal. Hits a little bit of a standing, hits the mat and switches off. Tries to go for back points, not able to do it, but watch how high he takes that arm. Marcus's knee pad was halfway across the gray starting line. I don't know that his knees and hands were a foot apart. Joe Longo starts the wrestlers. Bush tries to go far elbow trap, tries to turn the head for a cross-face cradle, not able to do so. Again locks across on the far elbow. Now Bush takes the leg. Bush goes to a far half Nelson. Going to try to work a spladle off of this, maybe. Marcus didn't go for it. Tries to stand up on a tripod. Bush puts a far half in again. He's trying to tuck his head underneath to get back points. Goes far elbow trap again. Tries to work cross-face cradle. Bush is going to get hit for, or Marcus, excuse me, is going to get hit for stalling. Joe Longo's down talking to him to get busy. There's the warning on the bottom wrestler. Stalling point goes to P-Bird.
1 minute, also 1 minute.
When Del Val defeated Phillipsburg in 1993, they trailed 22-0 at one point and rallied back to win that one 24-22. They have some bullets left throughout this lineup, but they haven't wrestled very well up to this point. I don't want to say very well, but they've looked flat. They need a big turnaround, and they may get one right here.
Yes, he did, Doug. That stalling point was tough. It gave Bush a 3-0 lead. Marcus gained the reversal and back points, and here comes Bush, reversing him to his back. We're under 15 seconds in the bout.
We're tied at 5.
5-5, and Bush is going to try to turn him for back points, and I don't think he's going to do it. Bush is trying hard to get a turn here. We may go overtime here, Doug, and I think we will. Marcus took the pressure off. He had Bush on his back. He allowed Bush to come off the bottom. He reversed him, and there were no back points given.
Here's that exchange.
We're going to see it. Watch what happens here. There's no reversal yet. Now, right here, Marcus gets the reversal, and Joe Longo's counting back points against Bush. So it was 3-0 Bush. It was there 5-3. A reversal for Bush, tied at 5-5. He didn't get back points. 1 minute, first overtime, sudden victory. Marcus is in on a single. He's going to get the takedown, I think, here, Doug. And he may be able to work for the fall. And he may get the pin here, Doug. Referee Joe Longo's let him work for the pin. If he gets the pin, this would be huge. He fights off his back. Del Val's going to win in overtime, but they were close to getting the fall.
Well, that's a turnaround for Marcus. The final was 10-5. That's the spark the Terriers needed.
Boy, was that action in the last 20 seconds. Bush led 3-0 late in the bout. Marcus reversed him and put him on his back for 5. Here we see it.
This is an overtime.
That's the overtime flurry. He was allowed to work for the fall, provided when he took his opponent down, the opponent was in criteria, and that was the case. And Joe Longo let him work for the pin, but he was not able to get it, fortunately for the Phillipsburg State Liners.
12-3 Phillipsburg. We go to 1:30 on the mat for Del Val. It is sophomore Ricky Kurtz. He is 5-0, and he will take on Kyle McRoberts. McRoberts is a junior at 4-8.
Kurtz looks pretty tough. He's coming right after McRoberts.
Kurtz was a district runner-up a season ago for Del Val, finishing 21-15. Third in this year's John Goals tournament. Kurtz now career record of 26-15.
Kurtz in on a single, not able to convert the single for a takedown. McRoberts fights him off. They're near the edge of the circle. They're going to go out of bounds, and Guy Siraki's going to restart them in the middle.
Keith Marcus defeated Kyle McRoberts in the 101 consolation finals, 12-5.
Kurtz hits a nice shot on a double, runs out of circle. They go out of bounds. We're neutral. We're going to restart in the middle.
Well, McRoberts placed fourth in that tournament. Kurtz did not wrestle in the 100 and Warren tournament. Del Val's been nicked up early season. Lance Thatcher, who we will see tonight at 135 next, is undefeated, and he's been banged up throughout this early part of the season, but he remains undefeated this year at 9-0. He'll be up next at 135.
Shot by McRoberts. Blocked off by Kurtz. McRoberts in tough on a single. Kurtz neutralizes McRoberts, traps on McRoberts' ankle, tries to drive through him. Guy Siraki looks closely. No control yet. We're going to go out of bounds neutral. Good call by the official. Under 30 seconds in the first period. We have no score yet at 130 pounds. Kurtz versus McRoberts of Phillipsburg. Nice double again by Kurtz. Tries to penetrate through McRoberts. Tries to go to a back heel. McRoberts sprawls out. Kurtz is taking quite a few shots here. He's not able to penetrate and finish and take down McRoberts. Let's see if there's any indication of stalling. There's a nice shot by McRoberts. Blocked off again by Kurtz. Period's going to end. No score. We're neutral.
There's Greg Troxel.
Do you get a sense that Greg Troxel and Mike Rossetti eat lunch together every day at school?
Going over the lineup.
I'll bet any money they spend their lunch period talking about what they're going to do at practice that day, or how they're going to go against Del Val that night, or Northampton, or whomever.
You know, we talk about that schedule. Absegami is on that schedule this year. Hunterdon Central, Del Val, North Hunterdon they defeated already. Paulsboro is also a top team. Randolph.
We're in the second period. There's no score yet. 130 pounds. McRoberts rides tough on top of Kurtz. Kurtz trying to gain an escape or a reversal.
But Jake, last night we put our plug-in for a Freedom Phillipsburg match at the home gyms. How about talking about the Kittatinny-Wilson matchup next year at the Easton Phillipsburg duels?
You know, I mentioned why my friend Gary Kessel had the same feeling we did, that there were some great teams at the Easton Phillipsburg duels, but they didn't match the right teams up. They could have had a lot better dual meet matchups in the pairings. And he mentioned immediately he couldn't understand why they didn't invite Kittatinny, or why Kittatinny didn't come in. Here we see on the replay the reversal given to Kurtz, who's going to take a 2-0 lead. But he seemed to think that Kittatinny would have been certainly an excellent fit there, trying to come in and take on some of the big boys in Pennsylvania.
Take on Wilson.
Notably Wilson and maybe even Easton.
Yeah.
There's a reversal back by McRoberts to tie the score at 2-2. We're under a minute in the second period, more than halfway through the bout. Scores tied 2-2, each wrestler with a second period reversal. Kurtz tries to scramble out on the bottom. McRoberts maintains control. Both wrestlers look up at the clock, see how much time's left in the period. Del Val coaches want him to get out of bounds to get a new start. He tries to step over the back. That's dangerous. They do go out of bounds. Kurtz looks like he's either winded or he hurt his ribs. He may ask for injury time. He's holding on to his right rib cage.
Del Val could steal one here with Lance Thatcher coming up at 135. He's undefeated. Would be a slight favorite over Gabe Trembler, who's wrestled 11 bouts this season, winning 3. This is the area that Paul Petro feels he can make his move, in this middle area here, with Thatcher coming up. Calderon is 9-3 at 40. Brzezinski 10-2 at 45. Hutchins at 52. Kerr at 60. This is where the Terriers and they become extremely strong right through this middle area. They wanted to limit the bonus points down low, and I think Marcus's win was big at 119, and obviously a fall would have been huge, but his win kind of lit a spark now in Del Val, but they need to continue this here at 130.
I think Del Val's going to have to win all the close matchups from here on in,
Yes,
based on how tough I know Phillipsburg is. Second period ends 2-2. There were 2 cautions in that period on starts against Kurtz. And then Guy Siraki, I think at the request of Paul Petro, moved behind the wrestlers to start them. I think they want Kurtz to take injury time. Phillipsburg coaches are yelling for them to hit Kurtz for delaying the match, and they want him to hit him for stalling. Kurtz now gets right up on top, and they start him. McRoberts stands and tries to gain a neutral. Kurtz brings him down on the mat hard. Score tie, as you see on your screen, 2-2.
no takedowns yet tonight in this bout.
He needs injury time, and I think he's going to get it right here. I don't know if he's sick to his stomach or if his ribs hurt. He points to his ribs or his stomach.
If you're looking for wrestling gear, call up Jack Kubo at Kubo's Wrestling Warehouse, 1-800-455-9558, or www.kubo.com. Let us handle all your wrestling needs. The largest selection, the lowest prices on all name-brand wrestling gear at Kubo's Wrestling Warehouse.
30 seconds, use 30.
You know, Jack Kubo was never beaten in the 25th Street Gym. I was thinking about that last night when we had the Kubo ad on. Jack Kubo never lost in his home gym. I don't know that he ever lost at East Stroudsburg University when he wrestled in college in his home gym. He had 2 high school losses, Doug. I saw both of them. As a freshman in states, he got beat maybe in the second round, might have been the first round, and he got beat in the finals of the Williamsport Top Hat tournament years ago by Paul Gemberling, who wrestled for Shikellamy. In fact, he was caught in a spladle, and Gemberling beat him 4-3, and those were his only 2 high school losses.
139 wins.
Is that right? 139-2?
Number 2 all-time at Easton, still behind Jamar Billman, but Billman had a whole bunch of 17 losses thrown in with 141 wins.
Well, I refereed that Top Hat tournament. There's a stalling warning against Del Val. And Paulie Gemberling had him so tight in a spladle that he really couldn't even get his shoulders down to pin him. He had him trapped there for almost the entire period. Bob Pancake was the official. We're in an exciting bout here. Phillipsburg leads 3-2. Minute and 10 seconds left in the third period. Kurtz in trying to gain a takedown. We're going to restart neutral. Kurtz has been cautioned twice for false starts. He's got to be careful he doesn't jump.
Jake, we talked about it last night, about Easton's depth and the fact that you can send a wrestler considered as to be an underdog out against a high-quality wrestler. And here's another example. McRoberts comes in at 4-8, would be considered a slight underdog to the undefeated Ricky Kurtz. And he's winning this match, a key one here, by a point.
He's given Kurtz all he can handle. I expected Kurtz would be a slight favorite at this weight, and I think so too did Paul Petro, Delaware Valley wrestling coach.
Kurtz has wrestled just 5 times, and I think part of those injury times is because of the conditioning.
I agree with that, Doug. I don't think he's a top level as far as his conditioning is concerned. He needs a takedown. We're coming down to 30 seconds. McRoberts is content to hang right there on that ankle. Kurtz trying to turn the corner and come on top and get a takedown. He's close to it. I'll tell you what, if he can get that right leg and he's going to get a takedown. Guy Siraki indicates a stalemate. Kurtz not happy. He says, I was getting a takedown. Well, he's got time for one good shot. Let's see what he does. This is the best time to try to hit that double. Kurtz hits a single. Tries to step across, change to a double. Not able to do it. McRoberts locks in the crotch and hangs on. We're under 10 seconds. Kurtz tries to hip across McRoberts. Changes off to a double. And would have scored the takedown, but he ran out of time.
McRoberts holds on. Literally. Wins it 3-2. High school, the Pit. Del Val trailing Phillipsburg 15-3. Doug Keeter along with Jake Llewellyn. We're at 135. Lance Thatcher, he's undefeated at 9-0. He's a senior for Del Val, taking on Gabe Trembler, who's a senior at 3-8. And Thatcher near that first takedown. Gets it.
Leads 2-0. Trembler gains a neutral, cuts the lead to 2-1. Thatcher tough on his feet, snaps and spins around. He's going to get a second takedown to lead 4-1. Thatcher tries to lock up a cradle on Trembler. He's coming right after him.
You hate to say this is a must-win, but I believe it is for Del Val here.
Not only a must-win, Doug, but I think Paul Petro expects bonus points from Thatcher, and if there's anybody going to get him, I think it's Thatcher. He is probably their premier wrestler.
Thatcher was third in the district last year for Del Val, finishing the year at 26-8, won this year's 101 tournament. Second last season, he has won the John Goals tournament the last 2 years, and he has a career record of 43-11.
We're under 1 minute in the first period. Score is 4-2. Thatcher leads. Gabe Trembler of Peaburg. Thatcher in on a heel pick. Gets a takedown, goes for a half Nelson, trying to work the turn on Trembler. He's going to go to a front headlock, and he has Trembler on his back, and he has at least 2 back points. Tries to change off the half. Joe Longo blows him out of bounds, gives the 2 back points. Thatcher leads 8-2, 33 seconds left in the first period. Shows optional start. Cuts Trembler loose. Thatcher is exciting to watch, Doug. He comes out with a full tank of gas, ready to go hard for 6 minutes. Thatcher works the Russian tie. That's what he scored his first takedown with. Here he hits a double off the Russian tie. Joe Longo gives the takedown and blows him out of bounds. He hit a nice drag for the first takedown from the Russian tie. There he hit a double off the Russian. 2-on-1 on the arms. Trembler gains a neutral. Thatcher hits a sucker drag from the bottom. He's going to get a takedown here. Joe Longo says, I'm not sure, no takedown. I think he may have had it, but time ran out.
The 1 period, Lance Thatcher leads 10-4.
The announcer here said it was a long period. Isn't that what he said? Or after the first? I thought he said it's a long period.
I thought he said that too.
Maybe he didn't say that, but that's what it seemed like. It was a long period for Gabe Trembler. Yes, it was. Trembler gains a neutral. Thatcher hits a heel pick immediately. And boy, he has his motor running.
He was ready to go in warm-up.
Tell you what, he works for the fall, too, on top. He comes at you. He's trying to turn Trembler. As we said, if there's anybody to get bonus points for the Terriers, I think it's Thatcher. Lance Thatcher, 9-0. Tries to snap the head and spin around. Now he drives through Trembler, gets a takedown, takes a 12-5 lead, less than halfway through the bout. Thatcher chins Trembler back, not able to get back points. Trembler covers up on the bottom, trying to get hand control, tries to stand and peel. We go to bounce. We're going to restart Thatcher on top of Trembler. Thatcher leading 12-5, 135 pounds.
15-3 is your team score. The Terriers' lone win was at 125 pounds in overtime, 10-5. Keith Marcus winning that one.
Joe Longo and Guy Siraki both not letting the wrestlers get away with anything as far as inconsistent starts. They've been banging a lot of cautions on false starts for improper lineup.
Well, Danny George in Northampton was DQ'd last night, was stalled out at 160 for Northampton.
By Vinny Russo.
Yes.
I don't think Terry Daubert was too fond of New Jersey official Vincent Russo last night. I thought Vinny called a good meet, but I don't think the Northampton fans necessarily thought so. Thatcher trying to work a tilt. Joe Longo had 1 count on back points. Trembler comes up off back points. Thatcher locked tight on the leg and potentially dangerous is called. You see less than 10 seconds in the second period. Thatcher leads 12-6. Thatcher takes the bottom position to start the third and final period. There we see Thatcher just drives right through Trembler, comes up on top for the takedown.
Del Valle now with 7 takedowns. Phillipsburg with 10. Peterborough has been quiet through the last 3, really.
I think Joe Longo's going to hit him for locking around both legs. He looked down at it. I'm not sure if he could see if he was locked. Thatcher gains a reversal. Takes a 14-6 lead. Now Trembler comes neutral.
That's 14-7.
Well, they have 16-7 on the board. It must be 16-7. They hit 12-5 on our score here before, and then all of a sudden it was 12-6, and I wondered how that happened. It had to be 14-6, and there's the correct score. 16-7 is right, Doug.
I think if you're Phillipsburg and Greg Troxel, you'd be pleased with Gabe Trembler here if he gives up just a major, don't you think?
Absolutely. Thatcher came out on fire, and he thought he was going to really take it to Trembler, but Trembler slowed him down a little bit now.
Thatcher,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thatcher with that knee brace on that right knee. That is the injured kneecap. That is as close to 100% as it's going to get, and he should be back ready for the rest of the season.
Scores a takedown off a nice snap and spin on Trembler. Takes an 18-7 lead. Tries to pull him back for back points. Can't bring the arm off the back there. Joe Longo telling him, take it easy on that arm. Trembler tries to gain a neutral, close to it. Tries to get more. If they do go out of bounds here, Trembler's going to be awarded 1 point for an escape. Joe Longo's holding the call there. He gives the neutral. He wanted to see if Trembler would gain a reversal. Here we see Thatcher rolls underneath, comes up on top. And that's where he gained his reversal earlier. 30 seconds to wrestle. He tries to pull a Russian 2-on-1 down to the mat again. Tries to drag him by with it. Trembler hits a shot off of that on a counter shot. Thatcher's going to try to get out of bounds here without giving up the takedown. Post the head down of Gabe Trembler. Del Valle's going to win a 4-point decision here, Doug. Thatcher leads 18-8. 5.5 seconds left in the bout. Paul Petro or Mark Connolly, assistant coach, tells him, stay right there. Don't take a bad shot and get taken down and negate the major.
18-8 was the final. The major for Del Valle, their first bonus point tonight, and it is 15-7 Phillipsburg after 135. You see Lance Thatcher shake his head a little bit. I don't think he was pleased there. He wanted at least 5 or 6.
I agree.
You know, the fall is such an emotional lift as well.
He was going after it. First 2 periods, he was on fire. Third period, he slowed down a little bit. And I think some of maybe his conditioning may not be at peak due to the injury that you mentioned, Doug.
So we go to 140 for the Terriers of Delaware Valley. It is Dan Calderon. Calderon's a junior, 9-3, taking on P.J. Budd. Budd is 12-1, and P.J. is a junior.
Budd and Calderon coming out, slapping on heads. A little bit of hand fighting. Trying to work a setup. Guy Siraki watching the wrestlers closely.
P.J. Budd was a district runner-up last season for Phillipsburg. Won this year's Hunter and Warren tournament, 4th a season ago. And Budd has a career record of 31-17.
Budd hits a single. Calderon counters with an underhook and an overhook. An over and an under. Tries to get the leg back down on the mat. Budd changes off to a double, not able to finish it. And on a double again and dumps Calderon down for the first takedown. Takes a 2-0 lead. We're at 140 pounds. P.J. Budd, the junior from Petersburg, against Dan Calderon, the junior from Delaware Valley. Calderon stands, tries to peel hands. Budd drives him across the line. They're going to restart in the middle. Calderon on the bottom. Here we see Budd on a double. Pulls the far leg in, dumps him down on the mat, gains control for the takedown. Under a minute in the first period. Bud tries to go far elbow trap. Tries to work for a cross-face cradle.
Calderon, in his first year as a varsity wrestler for the Terriers, won this year's John Goals tournament. He is 9-3. Did not place in the 101 tournament for the Terriers.
Calderon stands, again tries to peel hands. Bud picks him up and brings him down on the mat right inside the gray line. Official blows him out of bounds. Up and down P-Berg's lineup, Doug, I see a lot of wrestlers use cradles, different variations of the cradle. Crossface, here we see again, Bud tries to set it up. And that's a reflection of the P-Berg coaching. Boy, did he take a chance there. I can't imagine what Bud was trying to do. He jumped across the top of Calderon, gave up a reversal and 2 back points. Del Val coaches are telling Dan Calderon to keep him on the mat. Don't let him get an escape here. Don't give up any more points. Lock on that leg and keep it. Short time left. The buzzer sounds. Del Val leads 4-2. P.J. Bud got way up high and a little bit reckless. Came over top of his opponent. Watch how high he gets. He actually does like a forward roll right onto his back. And he says to Dan Calderon, here, drop down on top of me and get 2 and 2. And he did.
Boy, Bud was fortunate to get out of that.
Dan Calderon saw like a gift fall from the sky. Here came this opponent right over top of his head, landed on his back right in front of him. Boy, he was lucky to get out of it. Calderon on top to start the second period. Bud stands and is going to try to peel hands, get his hips away from Calderon. Calderon brings him up over the post and back down on the mat in control. Bud steps over top of Calderon's hips. He's going to gain a reversal and tie the score at 4-4. Score is tied at 4. Calderon stands. Bud drives him out of bounds. One minute remains in the second period. As you see, the score is knotted at 4 points each. Calderon tries to hit a switch. Stands up. Bud maintains control. Tries to pick Calderon up off the mat. There's a stalling warning against P-Berg for driving his opponent off the mat. The rule says you must make a valid attempt to return your opponent to the mat in a reasonable time. And what Guy Siraki felt that Bud did there was push him out of bounds rather than try to bring him back. Calderon gains a neutral as Bud cuts him loose. 45 seconds to wrestle in the second period. Each wrestler trying to set up a takedown. Bud in the face of Calderon. Both wrestlers inside the 10-foot circle. Bud takes a shot. Calderon blocks. Bud tries to hit a barrel roll. Blocked off by Calderon. Calderon comes to his feet. Bud tries to hip toss him. Not able to do it. They go out of bounds. 11 seconds left in the period. Calderon leads Bud 5-4. Third period choice is going to go to Bud, I think. Let's see.
It's Calderon's choice.
Okay. He's going to take the bottom position. Will Bud cut him right away? Maybe not. He might try to turn him with a cradle first. Let's see what the strategy is for P-Berg. Does not show optional. Goes into a normal start. Tries to pick the ankle. He's going to try to work a cross-face cradle, I think.
Bud did a nice job of riding until he got too high in the first period. He had rode for about 45 seconds. Until he got a little bit too high, and that's actually turned this bout around. Calderon got 4 points on that mistake by P.J. Bud.
Yeah, Bud got way too high, got a little bit reckless. Here up, Calderon gains another escape. He's going to lead 6-4. Minute and 30 seconds left in the third period. Bud takes a shot. Cannot penetrate on Calderon. Calderon blocks with a front headlock. Bud has a stalling warning. I'm not sure. I don't think Calderon has any warnings. Bud close to a takedown. He's got to get a count on back points. Calderon may have held on too long trying not to get up the takedown. Guy Shiraki keeps counting. As Calderon's on the top of his head, he's in criteria. Bud's going to come out of here with at least 2, maybe 3 back points. Bud stays in between the Saturday Night Ride. He's in between the legs of Calderon. Their 3 back points are given to Bud. Takes a 9-6 lead. Under 30 seconds in the bout. Calderon held on too long not to give up the takedown, and as a result, gave up 3 back points. Bud got more than he bargained for in that takedown maneuver. And P-Berg's going to win it 9-6. They're going to take an 18-7 lead in team score after 140 pounds, Doug.
Phillipsburg has won 5 of the first 7. Bud now 13-1. And this is what locked it up.
There you can see Guy Shiraki showing. Now he counts once. He goes back into his count. Looked like Calderon was a little bit high there for back points, but right there when he goes to his head, that's clearly criteria.
We go to 145 pounds for Phillipsburg. It's going to be junior Justin Kohler. Kohler is 8-5 on the season. He will take on senior Jim Rosinski, who is 10-2. Phillipsburg weighed in 3 wrestlers here: Mike Frank, Justin Kohler, and Ryan Toth. One of those will go up to 152.
I would guess Mike Frank, Doug.
That's correct. Frank, the transfer from Easton, who's a senior. 18-7.
Kohler versus Rosinski.
Kohler is a 2-time district champion for Phillipsburg. Placed 3rd in the regional tournament last year. 2-time Hunter and Warren tournament medalist, 3rd and 2nd. Has placed twice in the Brick Memorial Tournament, 3rd and 2nd. And Kohler's career record now stands at 29-16.
Who did Rosinski wrestle last year in the dual meet, Doug? Do you have this?
Yeah, give me a second.
Summary from last year. Kohler tries to hit a shrug, tries to drag him by. Rosinski comes around the back, tries to trip Kohler down to the mat. Kohler's trying to get out of bounds. Let's see if they hit him for a flea here. Well, it looked to me like he ran off the mat. Joe Longo didn't think it was a flea. Still neutral. 40 seconds to wrestle in the first period. No scores yet. Rosinski versus Kohler. Justin Kohler in on a single leg. Rosinski sprawls away. We're under 15 seconds left. Rosinski's very physical, Doug. Very strong kid. Powerful build. First period's going to end scoreless.
There we go. Rosinski wrestled at 135.
I think he came from behind to beat somebody tough.
He wrestled Matt Lurig, was who he wrestled a season ago.
Watch him go out of bounds. He's trying to get out to avoid being taken down. If your opponent leaves the circle to avoid scoring, it's called fleeing the mat. Maybe Joe Longo thought about it. He probably didn't think he went far enough off the mat, but he took 3 steps to get out of there. Brzezinski starts the second period on top, brings Kohler down hard onto the mat, maintains control. Kohler stands, tries to get away. Brzezinski kicks the leg out, knocks him back down to the mat. Rides tough on top.
Brzezinski wrestled Mike Frank in the Hunter and Warren tournament, beat Frank for 3rd place 6-3. Another reason why Greg Troxel has moved Mike Frank up, possibly another reason why he's moved him up or will move him up a weight class.
Good coaching strategy. Try to get the matchups in your favor.
Brzezinski placed 3rd last year for Del Val in both the district and regional tournament. He finished the year at 26-10. Is a 2-time John Gold tournament runner-up and has a career record of 40-16. Brzezinski is a senior for the Terriers.
No score yet. We're almost halfway through this bout. Let's see what Kohler tries off the whistle. Maintains his base on bottom. Brzezinski tries to fish underneath for a far arm. There's a far elbow trap on Kohler. He's going to try to turn his hips. Kohler stands. They go out of bounds. No change of control. I think at this point, Doug, that every win is going to be a crucial win for Del Val, or every bout's going to be a must-win for the Terriers. They got to win all the close ones now.
Well, we're halfway through it. We have 14 weight classes tonight. We're through 7. This is number 8.
Justin Kohler is on his feet, trying to get away from Brzezinski. Can't hit Brzezinski for stalling here. He's certainly trying hard to bring him back down to the mat. Here he walks him out of bounds, and that is a good call. Joe Longo warns Brzezinski for stalling in a top position. He took him out of bounds rather than bring him back and take him back down to the mat. Joe Longo says no caution for anybody. I'll take the caution. Brzezinski rides tough on top. He's been warned for stalling. We're under 30 seconds in the period. Brzezinski's going to try to ride out Kohler. Under 20 seconds. Kohler stands. Brzezinski's going to pick him up and bring him back down on the mat. Phillipsburg fans want stalling, but Brzezinski's trying. He's making attempts. They go out of bounds. No change of control. We're under 10 seconds. The fans are loving it here at Phillipsburg. No score yet.
Well, Brzezinski's doing a nice job to ride Kohler out for this whole second period, at least till now.
They're going to restart with 3 seconds. When they stand up and go out of bounds and stand up and go out of bounds, it's like a referee's nightmare. Seems like the period lasts forever. He almost gains a reversal.
Got the one.
Joe Longo gives a reversal. He felt that he had lost control, but didn't quite get the reversal when the buzzer sounded. He was halfway through a reversal, and Joe Longo awarded a neutral. Usually that's a call where either it is a reversal or it's nothing, but Joe felt, well, he was probably in mid-reversal, that his opponent had lost control, but he quite not had established control. Brzezinski's on the bottom, 3rd period, losing 1-0 on a reversal that gained a neutral for Kohler as the buzzer sounded. Kohler sinks in a leg, and he's going to take him on a spladle. He's not going to get back points, Doug. The shoulders are too high and too tight to the rib cage of Kohler.
Yeah, he's going to get himself in trouble, too, maybe.
Brzezinski's got to try to pick the head up here and drive into him, see if he can get a reversal.
The coaching staff of Phillipsburg wants Kohler to roll Brzezinski back.
Brzezinski's going to gain the neutral. Kohler goes to adjust his headgear, and Rosinski takes a shot. Almost got him while he wasn't ready. Score should be 1-1. Kohler close to getting the takedown. Has to bring Rosinski down to the mat. He gets his hands posted. There's the takedown awarded. Looks like Delaware Valley is fading in the third period to a great extent. A lot of the wrestlers in the third period have been low on petrol. Rosinski needs to get out and get a takedown to win or a reversal to tie. He's down 3-1. 35 seconds to wrestle in the bout. Greg Troxel telling Kohler, 1, not 2. If you get in trouble, you cut him loose. You don't give him a reversal. Rosinski's trying to get hand control. Kohler rides tough on top, trying to knock the hips down. Rosinski stands, tries to peel hands. We're under 15 seconds in the bout. Kohler's going to hang on to win, 3-1. Joe Longo gave a reversal. I think he had the reversal ahead of the buzzer. I really do. Guy Siraki's going to tell him no. I don't know why he has Rosinski in there with him talking to him.
They're talking about it. They're giving him the escape.
Paul Petro is going to go question Joe Longo. It looked to me like he came behind him, which he had to do for the reversal. He didn't have to bring him to the mat for a reversal. All he had to do was come around the back of him. And I thought he did that about a second ahead of the buzzer. I don't know if Joe Longo wanted to bring him to the mat. You don't have to do that for a reversal.
I wonder if we could get that with
Watch here. Kohler's on top, in control. He thinks it's over. That's 2 right there. Right there is a 2-point reversal. He doesn't have to bring him to the mat. And it was ahead of the buzzer, Doug.
Well, nevertheless, it sticks at 3-2.
I don't know what Kohler was thinking about. He cut him loose with a second on the clock, like pushed him away. Rosinski had the presence to lock around his body. He does not have to bring his opponent to the mat for a reversal. All he has to do is get behind him, and there he was behind him. I think Guy Siraki talked Joe Longo out of the right call.
So we go to 152. For Del Val, it will be Dan Hutchins.
There's a takedown awarded. It should be. I don't know what he's looking at.
Hutchins is a senior at 11-1.
Joe Longo's still looking at her. Guy Siraki's still looking at it. Now he's going to get a takedown. Phillipsburg fans don't like that little extracurricular crossface that Hutchins applied. It's just a good, tough crossface. I think this is Mike Frank, Doug, but I'm not sure. That was a reversal. All he was
Hutchins is a district runner-up for Del Val. Hutchins is a senior at 11-1. He's a district runner-up, placed 3rd in the region tournament a season ago, finished the year at 28-6. Hutchins now a 3-time district runner-up, 2-time region 3rd-place finisher, a 2-time John Gold tournament champion, 2-time Hunter and Warren tournament runner-up, was first this season. His only loss this year for Hutchins was to Ricky Frondorf of North Hunterdon, and that was a 3-2 loss in the Hunter and Warren tournament finals. Frondorf placed 3rd in the States a season ago. Hutchins has a career record at Del Val of 72-19.
Hutchins is a tough ride on Mike Frank. He's got a far elbow trap. He's trying to work for a turn here, try to possibly lock up a cross-face cradle, and does. Here's the cradle lock. He really should not try to hurry it. There's 20 seconds to wrestle. He's going to try to sit him back for back points. Siraki's in a count. At least he should be. Mike Frank's in trouble, Doug. He's pinned.
There's the call. 9 seconds to go. Ball 151, 21-13. Much needed for the Terriers.
So they gave Rosinski earlier than that a neutral at the end. There's the cradle. Nice cradle, cross-face cradle. You can see the shoulders of Mike Frank right there. And now he's close to getting them both down for 2 counts. Their guy Siraki calls the fall.
Exactly what you said on Kohler's reversal. It's either a reversal or nothing.
That's right.
In that case, it was definitely not an escape.
Kohler thought the period was over and he pushed him away, and he was a second ahead of the buzzer. And all Rosinski did was within a split second locked around the body behind him, and that was a reversal.
We go to 160 for the State Liners. This is Dave Post. Post is a junior. He's undefeated at 13-0, and he will take on Roy Kerr for the Terriers. Kerr is a senior at 9-3.
Roy Kerr, the senior, against Dave Post, the junior. Dave Post is 13-0. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Not a blemish on his record yet. Roy Kerr is a tough opponent, 9-3 record. We're in a flurry here, no control yet. Post almost had the takedown. Kerr scrambles out, almost gets a takedown of his own. And right out bounds neutral.
Post, undefeated at 13-0, was a district champion a season ago for Phillipsburg, second in the region tournament, finished the year at 25-7. Two-time district champ is Post, two-time regional medalist, fourth and second. This year's 100 and Warren tournament champion, third last year, two-time Brick Memorial tournament champ, and Post has a career record of 38-7.
Here Post scores a takedown, takes a 2-0 lead over Kerr. We're coming down to 40 seconds to wrestle in the first period. Post leads 2-0. Puts the leg up, tries to get Kerr to take it because he was going to put it in a far half if he did. Try to work a little bit of a mousetrap. Kerr wouldn't fall for it.
Roy Kerr was a district runner-up last year for Del Val, finished the year at 21-11. He is now a two-time district medalist, third and second. Three-time 100 and Warren tournament medalist, fourth, third, and third. Was placed twice in the John Goles tourney, third and second, and has a career record of 44 and 25.
Post has a leg in, trying to work a power half. Period's going to end. Post leads 2-0. Here's the first takedown. See, Post gets control over Kerr. Second period, Kerr's going to choose the bottom position. Dave Post weighed in at 160.3. We mentioned that there is a 1-pound allowance today, and that Phillipsburg wrestled yesterday against Northampton. Both teams get the 1-pound allowance, of course.
Phillipsburg weighed in 2 wrestlers here, Dave Post and also Jared Duffy. Duffy wrestled last night against Northampton at 171. Del Val weighed in 2, Kerr and Frank Kurtz. Kurtz most likely, well, will definitely go up to 171. Kurtz weighed in at 158.9.
Kerr's going to gain an escape here, cuts the lead to 2-1.
The thinking here by Paul Petro is sending out Kerr, who is your more experienced wrestler, between he and Frank Kurtz, hoping to steal one here. The status of Derek Schisler at 171 is uncertain tonight. He has been sick since the weekend, and we don't expect to see him up at 171. But for this to work, Kerr must get the win here at 160.
Again, this is a must-win for the Delaware Valley Terriers. And a tough opponent in undefeated Dave Post. Post chases Kerr to the edge of the circle, tries to lock up a front headlock, pushes him into the apron. Paul Petro tells Kerr, let's go, let's get busy. We're under a minute in the second period, 50 seconds to wrestle. Both wrestlers neutral. He's trying to set up a takedown. Dave Post takes a 2-on-1 on the right arm. Takes a shot, stalling warning against Delaware Valley. Joe Longo stops the action. Post may have taken a shot from Kerr in that flurry. I don't know if he's bleeding or if he's on injury time per se.
These two do not meet in the Hunter and Warren tournament. Post wrestled at 160, Kerr at 171. Let's see if we can see what happens.
Let's look underneath there and see what happens. He shoves him out of bounds. That was before Post took the injury time. It's hard to tell what happened. He may have taken a shot in the mouth. They're cleaning blood off the mat. He must be on blood time.
Take a look at what's up here at 171. We've talked about the status of Derek Schisler. He's weighed in. Will we see Schisler or Duffy at 171 for Phillipsburg? Del Val will send Frank Kurtz up. Kurtz is a junior at 8-3, but Del Val doesn't lose much up top. We'll see if here is where maybe he might have gotten a knee in the head. Might have been worthy.
I'm sorry, I missed that. That's probably what it was. Polish trip attempted by Post. Kerr flips out of it. His headgear's across his eyes. He can't see. Referee doesn't notice that and keeps him wrestling there. Fortunately for Kerr, he was able to get his headgear off his eyes. Was able to keep Post from penetrating on the shot. Post still in on a single. Kerr trying to get his hips down and away. They're going to go out of bounds neutral. Less than a second in the second period. As soon as he starts him, the horn's going to burp. Oh, it's at 0.6 of a second. Quick finger on the clock operator. There the period ends. Third period choice goes to Post. He's going to take the bottom position to start the third. Kerr tries to pick Post up and bring him back. They go out of bounds, no change of control. Post again stands, tries to peel hands. Kerr maintains the lock on the left leg, maintains control. Stalling on the top wrestler, 1 point to Peeberg. Shows optional start. He's going to cut him loose and wrestle on his feet as Kerr. Kerr puts the diamond on the back of Post. Cuts Post loose. Post turns and shoots. Close to a takedown is Dave Post. Nice roll by Kerr. He's going to come up on top of the takedown, Doug. Not quite. He's got to bring him to the mat. If Dave Post goes out of bounds, let's see what they call. Kerr let him out right on the edge. Kerr was very close to getting the takedown. Within reaction time, Post scrambled to his feet. And as a result, Kerr had to bring him back down to the mat and was not able to do so. Kerr again hits a single. Post leads 5-1. He also has a point for stalling. Post rushes Kerr. Kerr changes his level and tries to hit a double as he comes in. We're down to 45 seconds in the bout. Post leads 5-1 over Kerr. Joe Longo's going to call a stalemate and restart the wrestlers in the middle. They're stalling again against Del Val. Another point for Peeberg.
30 seconds, 30.
Kerr's scrambling, trying to get a takedown on Post. No control. We're under 20 seconds. Post is going to get a takedown. Wants to stay between the legs and put in a half.
He's got a major right here, Jake.
Tell you what, those stalling points hurt him.
Yep.
I don't know that the stalling was as consistent as they've been through all the other bouts.
There's the major on that reversal. He wiped that off.
He saved himself a team point there.
James Post wins by decision, score 9-12.
24-13 is your team score now. The Kerr reversal eliminates that major.
Here we see it right here. We're in kind of a funk roll position. Post gets the takedown. There's the takedown. Stays between the legs, tries to put in a half. Now he's going to jump out to the side.
171 for Del Val, Frank Kurtz.
And right after this, Kurt gains reversal to take away the extra bonus point in the major decision. Let's see if we see that, Doug. Good camera work by the TV2 cameraman. And here you're going to see he's going to drive through his hips,
right there.
dumps him down. And that was a big plus for Del Val to take away that bonus point.
Jared Duffy will wrestle at 171 for the Stateliners. Duffy is 0-1. His only varsity match was last night against Northampton. He's a sophomore. He will take on Frank Kurtz, who's a junior for Del Val, who's 8-3. Both of these wrestlers weighed in at 160. Duffy at 157.9. Kurtz a pound heavier.
Kurtz tries to hit a barrel roll. Duffy blocks him off. Junior Frank Kurtz against sophomore Jared Duffy. Duffy 0-1. Kurtz is 8-3. Duffy locks up a front headlock. Tries to turn the corner and get a takedown. Stalemate indicated by Guy Siraki. The official with the whistle. His assistant is Joe Longo. Two officials rotate throughout the dual meet tonight.
Kurtz, third in this year's Hunter and Warren tournament, second in the John Gold's Classic. Now, Duffy's match last night was against Josh Haynes, and that's when things got interesting here in Phillipsburg.
You know what? I watched some of that match on TV last night. I think I fell asleep right before that. It was a long day. It was around 11:30 last night on the tape delay. But the action got hot and heavy there at the end of that duel meet. I think it was 22-21 at one point, was it?
22-15, I believe, was the closest.
Was that the closest it was? Okay.
That Phillipsburg ever got, and then Haynes got the fall. Haynes was deducted a team point for over-excessive celebration.
Yeah, I guess he flexed to the crowd. One of the Phillipsburg wrestlers did that in the Easton Freedom match. Here we see the fireman's, or the barrel roll for the takedown.
This one's not over just yet. Don't forget, we have 14 weight classes.
That's
so
right.
We're at 215 in there.
Kurtz tries to lock up a cradle on Duffy. Tries to roll underneath and put him on his back. Now he's going to go the other way with it and try to bump the hips over. He's got a far side cradle on him. Duffy got his arm through and gets a reversal. Ties the score at 2-2. 20 seconds left to wrestle in the first period. Now Duffy tries to lock a cradle on Kurtz, close to locking it. Kurtz spreads out on the bottom. Phillipsburg, to me, seems to have the edge in conditioning here. Maybe the tougher schedule they've wrestled. But if they can keep it close to the third period, they seem to be able to come back strong in the third, does Phillipsburg.
I think you're right, Jake. You're seeing that, especially as we get a little bit heavier into this lineup.
Duffy's going to start the second period from the bottom. Well, Frank Kurtz and Rick Kurtz, I'm guessing, are brothers. Is that true? Rick the sophomore, Frank the junior. We have the Worst brothers and we have the Kurtz brothers. Two sets of brothers on the Del Val team. Kurtz on top of Duffy. Duffy tries to stand and get away. Kurtz rides tough with a tight waist and the near arm trap. Tries to go crossface to the far elbow and does. Has a cradle lock. Wants to bump the hips inbounds. Duffy tries to spread out on the bottom, not to get taken off his base. Greg Troxel right down on the floor yelling instructions to Duffy. Yells to him, hey, get up. Greg Troxel is down on the floor, right on the edge of the mat. The two wrestlers are right at the edge of the circle. He was about 2 feet away from him, imploring him to get up. Very enthusiastic coaching staff for Phillipsburg.
That's a trademark, though, the coaches here in Phillipsburg, is it not?
I'll tell you what, I'm watching Greg Troxel. He's entertaining. He looks like he's doing some of those Tai Chi exercises over there. There's 2 back points awarded to Kurtz. He got a turn on Duffy. Takes a 4-2 lead. Duffy's kept this bout close. Now he has a bar reinforced. He's going to try to work on a turn with it. Wants to get a tilt off the reinforced bar. Has the right arm barred. With his left arm, Kurtz has Duffy's right wrist.
Yeah, the coaching staff for Del Val told him to work into that half, and he tried it right there.
He's got 20 seconds in the period. He's going to try to get another turn. Kurtz now wearing Duffy down in the second period. 10 seconds to wrestle in the period. Tell you what, Duffy's doing a job. He's keeping it close with Kurtz. Kurtz, one of the better Del Val wrestlers. Here we see the turn. See the bar. Blocks with his heel. Tried to work a figure 4 in the head, but he did earn a 2 count. He was able to get back points. Let's see if we see him take them here.
And Jake, when you talk about key matchups or the keys to winning a dual meet, coaches will always tell you minimizing bonus points and winning the close one. Well, Phillipsburg has maximized the bonus point opportunities with those 3 straight majors to start the dual meet. We've had 3 matches tonight that are close. 2 1-pointers and a 2-pointer or a 3-pointer. Phillipsburg has won all 3.
That's right. They've won all the close bouts, and they've kind of made their own breaks, Doug. In fact, the first 2 bouts I thought would be 3-point decisions for Phillipsburg. They wrestled tough enough to earn 4-point decisions, both at 3 and at 12 pounds. Both Awe and Brandon Stillo. Minute and 31 seconds in the third period. We're neutral. Kurtz started the period from the bottom and gained the escape to take a 5-2 lead over Duffy. Well, I don't think we'll see Schisler tonight, Doug.
No.
I think 89 will see Bray, then Ron Caroni at 215 and Porter at heavyweight for the state liners. Minute to wrestle. Kurtz in on a single. Tries to change to a double. No control awarded as yet. Duffy trying hard not to give up the takedown. Here comes Kurtz. He gets the takedown. Now he's going to get a turn.
30 seconds stay.
Kurtz had a tough bar, and as he ran the bar, he drove his opponent out of bounds. Greg Troxel tells Duffy, keep your hands up. In other words, control your own arms. Don't allow him to bar your arms up and turn you. There you can see 25.8 seconds. Under 30 seconds in the bout. Kurtz leads 7-2. And Del Val would certainly like a bonus point. They needed 3 near fall points to do that.
15 seconds.
Kurtz puts in a bar. Going to try to run the bar. It's funny that Duffy never even got a stalling call.
That's right.
And in the earlier bout, they were banging away on Kerr, who certainly wasn't passive in my opinion.
Well, Delaware Valley gets to within 8, 24-16. This is the second time the Terriers have been within 8. It's 21-13 at 152. Looking for somewhere to send the youngsters? How about Jack Kubo's Lehigh Valley Wrestling School? 1-800-455-9558 or on the World Wide Web at www.kubo.com. Let us take down your competition. Private and group classes available at Kubo's Lehigh Valley Wrestling School. We go to 189, Adam Schumacher for Del Val. Schumacher is a senior at 11-1. And Mike Bray will go out for Phillipsburg. Schumacher for Del Val, Mike Bray. Bray is a senior at 6-5.
Schumacher has impressive credentials, 11-1 senior. 11 wins, 1 loss thus far this season.
Well, the Terriers have won just 4. They're still within 8 points.
Tell you what,
still
this
there.
is far from over. Far from over.
Schumacher, a 2-time Hunter and Warren tournament medalist, 4th and 2nd, 2-time John Goles tourney champ. Career record for Schumacher of 34-18. Bray is in his first year of varsity action for Phillipsburg.
That Rosinski-Kohler bout is certainly very pivotal. And I thought it should have gone to overtime.
Well, 21-19.
That's right.
Val wins that one, you know.
Schumacher, a lot of motion on his feet. Trying to set up a takedown on Bray. Bray locks up a front headlock on Schumacher. Tries to drag out. Our official, Joe Longo, assisted by Guy Siraki in this bout. 1 minute gone in the first period, Doug. No score.
Schumacher's lone loss was in the Hunter and Warren tournament finals. He lost to Mark Eberstein of Hunter and Central. Eberstein was a state medalist last year for the Red Devils. So Schumacher has had a fine season. In fact, Eberstein beat him in the rideout in the finals at 189.
Tell you what, I was impressed with Marcus Millen last night. Easton's 189-pounder. And you had mentioned that Freedom coaches thought that John Steiner might stay up at 190 for the postseason. But some of the Freedom people I saw today, and I said, I guess Steiner's planning to drop to 171. They said, yeah, we think so. I said, I think that Marcus Millen was just too big and strong for him last night.
Talked to Marcus after the match, and we talked to him a little bit about wrestling Adam Attia, and he said that he cut Attia loose to start that period, the third, and when they wrestled at Mannheim, and he said he's just so strong, and he was just able to tie up with him so well. Those two guys are going to be tough as the season goes, Marcus Millen and Adam Attia at that weight class.
Phillipsburg wanted a takedown there. Good call by Joe Longo. He did not have him down beyond reaction time. Good no call. Phillipsburg wanted a takedown as soon as the hands hit the mat. And Schumacher scrambled quickly enough to avoid giving up the takedown. Bray weighs in, what do you say, 184 and a half.
Yep, Schumacher at 186.
So they're very close in weight. Both under the 189-pound limit at 190 today. There's an escape for Schumacher to start the second period. Takes a 1-0 lead. We were scoreless in the first. Although Bray was close to getting a takedown on Schumacher.
We have 215 in heavyweight coming up. Ian Roncaroni for Phillipsburg against Jeremy Wurst. Josh Wurst, who was weighed in at heavyweight for Del Val, wrestled Roncaroni a season ago. But he will be at 275, and looks like he will take on 248-pound Chris Porter. But again, Del Val here with these last 3, got to take 2 out of the 3.
Yes, they will.
And if it goes up against Wurst and Roncaroni being the toss-up, If it can go their way, they can pull this one out. But they're going to have to take 2 of these 3, obviously, to pull this one out.
Well, you'd mentioned that the Worst brothers only have a week of practice under their belt.
Yes.
They played football and weren't sure if they're going to come out for wrestling. They certainly look like good athletes. They weigh 210 and 217, so both are small heavyweights. Bray goes around the back of Schumacher, tries to bring him to the mat for the takedown. Hands hit. He's trying to scramble. They're near the edge of the circle. Del Val coach is willing to put in an overhook and fight hard with a whizzer. Bray trying to get control, not able to do it. Schumacher's going to scramble out of this, I think. He hit his hands on the mat twice, but not beyond reaction time, and he's got to bear the majority of his weight on his hands. He's got to be posted on his hands or hands. 35 seconds left to wrestle in the second period. Score 1-0. Schumacher leads Bray.
Well, I'll tell you, Bray's been tough. Schumacher has won 34 matches. He has 52 career bouts under his belt. Bray in his first varsity season for Phillipsburg. It's 11 matches this year, and he's hanging tough with Schumacher.
Bray has Schumacher in a front headlock with 20 seconds to wrestle in the second period. Schumacher tries it a single. Bray blocks him off. Under 10 seconds, we're stalemated.
Bray gets to work with Ron Caroni and Schisler in the room every day.
There's a stalling warning against Phillipsburg. 1 point goes to Del Val. And now Schumacher leads 2-0 as we go to the third period.
It'll be Bray's choice. He takes neutral.
Joe Longo is a little more diligent in his stalling calls, I think, than Guy Saraki has been. The unfortunate part is they're working the same dual meet, and that's one reason why a few of those Pennsylvania coaches we mentioned only wanted one official to work the dual meet for consistency. Schumacher takes a shot. They go close to the edge, and we're going to go out of bounds neutral. Third period choice was neutral, I think, for Bray. Phillipsburg coaches, I believe, want Bray to lose no more than a 3-point decision. They don't want Mike Bray to do anything risky that's going to get him caught on his back and in trouble as far as getting pinned.
It looks like if Schumacher is able to hold on, it's going to come down to Ron Caroni and Jeremy Worth. Ron Caroni can ice it. He nearly did it. Or he did do it, on Saturday night in overtime with Josh Kelly of Freedom.
Bray's backing out of bounds. We're under a minute in the third period. Schumacher now clearly the aggressor, coming after Bray. Schumacher takes a shot. Del Val wants a stalling call against Bray. Score is still only 2-0. Bray's that close. If he gets a takedown, he's going to tie this match up, and we'll go to overtime. There's another shot. There's a stalling warning against Bray. Another point for Schumacher. Schumacher has an escape and 2 points for stalling. There have been no takedowns in this bout, and Bray was closer than Schumacher to getting a takedown. Now we see Greg Troxel yelling instructions to Mike Bray. Schumacher's going to try a headlock. I can't imagine why. Ahead 2-0. You miss the headlock, you're going overtime. We're now under 20 seconds in the bout. Schumacher again on the push, trying to push into Bray. It shows 2-0 on the board. I'm pretty sure the score is 3-0.
Welcome back to the pit. Del Val trailing Phillipsburg 24-19. That's the closest they've been all night since 103. Doug Teeter along with Jake Lowell. That is Ian Roncaroni. He can clinch it here for the State Liners at 2:15. He is 10-1, and he's a senior taking on senior Jeremy Worst, who is in his first varsity match since his freshman season for the Terriers.
Well, they're close in weight. Roncaroni weighed in at 205. Worst weighed in at 210. So a 205-pounder or a 210-pounder against each other. Roncaroni was the hero for Phillipsburg on Saturday night, beating Josh Kelly in overtime on a takedown and sudden victory to ice the win for the Phillipsburg State Liners 30-24.
Roncaroni was a district runner-up last year for Phillipsburg, won this year's 101 tournament, second in the Brick Memorial Classic. Jeremy Worth, you mentioned, has not wrestled since his freshman season. This is actually his first varsity bout ever. He has not wrestled since his freshman year.
Are the Worst twins, I presume,
yes.
Jeremy and Josh, both
they are. Identical and 7 pounds apart. Josh wrestled last season, but Jeremy needs to keep this one close. He's got to get a win against Roncaroni to keep Del Val in it. They're down by 5.
But each Worst must be about 6'4" tall. Is that what they are, 6'4"?
I would have to say that is very close, yes, at least.
Maybe a little bit more. Roncaroni has to be at least 6 feet tall, and Worst is considerably taller than he is. Several inches.
I'll tell you what, Jake, that Kohler-Rosinski match is going to loom large throughout the rest of this night.
I am convinced that Rosinski was locked around the back of him ahead of the buzzer. When Kohler, I think, had a brain cramp and thought, well, I'll push him away with time left on the clock. I think Joe Longo was right on it to give the reversal. If he gave a neutral, it couldn't have been a reversal. It would have had to been a takedown. But I think he had the right call in the reversal, and I think Guy Siraki, the assistant, talked him out of it. The thing that kind of baffled me was, what was he doing with Rosinski with his arm around Rosinski out in the middle of the mat, talking to the other official about what they were going to call?
Well, I saw the two go up in the air. So you're right, he talked him out of it. He had it signaled at first.
In each of those bouts where there was a flurry at the end, they gave a neutral, and I think it was a call either had to be a reversal or nothing. Or kind of what you would call a consolation prize for 1 point.
Well, Worst has kept it close in the first period. He battles through one, no score.
Well, we have bleeding, but we have no official standing with either wrestler.
Marth Container and Disposal Service. If you're looking for disposal removal for prompt, efficient service, call 610-262-9021. Problems with items such as car parts, yard waste, construction products, no problem for Marth. They'll throw almost anything out, even your ex-spouse.
Who wrote that script, Doug?
Not me.
Must have been Marth.
Must have been. Somebody with an ex-spouse.
Wonder where they throw them.
It was the tree shredder, remember? It was like Fargo.
There's an escape for Worst. As we start the second period, Worst takes a 1-0 lead.
We've been talking about conditioning all night. Neither Worst twin has been in practice more than a week, and we'll see if it's an effect here, because it has been a problem for the Terriers tonight. It seems that the State Liners have kept it close through 2 periods. They have been the much better wrestler in the third.
That's true. I think conditioning's been the difference in the third period for Phillipsburg. Sometimes the breaks come your way when you make the breaks. What do they say? Luck is where opportunity meets design. You make your own luck. And many times that's no more than being in better condition than your opponent. Wrestling's a sport where you need ammunition in the third period. Here again we have bleeding. Blood time to Phillipsburg. Fans at home know that you have 5 minutes for blood in high school. Cumulative time. Injury time, you get 2 stops. No more than 1 minute and 30 seconds. In college wrestling, there is no time for blood. Time is unlimited, but within reason. There is a corollary, a caveat.
Well, the blood time for Ron Caroni has been helping Jeremy Worse because it has given him a few breaks.
Sure, he doesn't mind taking a little water and getting a little bit of instruction from assistant coach Mark Hall, who probably drills him in the room every day. Worse tries to hit a single. Ron Caroni spins him down with a front headlock. We're under a minute in the second period. We're more than halfway through this bout at 215 pounds. The 13th of 14 weight classes tonight in New Jersey.
It is 24-19 Phillipsburg. This thing played out quite nicely starting at 103.
Nice shot by Ron Caroni right on the edge. You're going to go out of bounds. No takedown. 35 seconds left in the period. Worst hangs on to a 1-0 lead. He may have some blood on him. Joe Longo looks at him. Blood must be from Ron Caroni, and they're going to start the blood time again.
I think the Del Val coaching staff is looking for anything to give Worse a few moments.
Here we see the Del Val trainer clean him off.
Assistant coach Lee Hall on the left. Paul Petro, the head coach, on the right. And Brett Connolly, another assistant right in the middle there behind his trainer.
I always say Mark Connolly, but it's Brent Conley. Mark Connolly wrestles for Navy. Brent Connolly wrestled in college for Lock Haven University. There's a takedown for Worse. I'll tell you what, he just powered right through Ron Caroni. Great athleticism by Worse, Jeremy Worse, the smaller of the twins. He leads 3-0, and this is certainly going to get interesting if Worse can knock off Ron Caroni, who we would have to say is a slight favorite.
The Phillipsburg crowd, you can see it, is sensing that this is going to get interesting. They have grown awfully quiet. I don't think they expected that takedown.
Worse is long and lanky. Long drink of water, as you like to say, Doug. And he's trying to lock up a cross-face cradle. Ron Caroni is going to hit a reversal, and they're going to call him for locking hands.
It's going to tie this one up.
Tell you what, I think he went from standing to the mat. It's going to be a three-point move. We're going to give one for the lock, a technical violation, two for the reversal. We're going to go back to the blood clock. I'm interested to know how much time has been used for blood. I'm going to guess a couple of minutes. Let's see. Here he calls the lock immediately. They did go from their feet to the mat, which means he would have reaction time to break it. But Joe Longo felt that, Guy Siraki, felt that he maintained the lock beyond reaction time.
Well, that Ron Caroni reversal has electrified this Phillipsburg crowd.
Three-point reversal with the extra point for locking. Down on the mat, there is no reaction time. If you touch on the mat, it's a lock by application. From your feet to the mat, when the wrestler comes to the mat, you have reaction time to break the lock. Now, how much is reaction time? Less than a second, but probably a good fraction of a second. Worst has to get out to win here. It's tie 3-3.
Do you cut him, Jake?
I don't know. I think Ron Caroni's going to try to ride him for a while and see if he can turn him.
See if he can wear him down.
But he's got to leave himself enough time to get a takedown.
Oh, there he goes.
Yes, he does cut him. Worst wants to get blood time. He shows him blood. He's got to stay focused here. Instead of worrying about the blood, he's got to worry about getting a takedown or not giving up a takedown. He's trying to dig some blood out of his own nose to show him blood. Here's some, he says. Guy Siraki says, not enough, let's start.
How important is this to Del Val? I will remind you, they have not defeated Phillipsburg since 1993. They have not won here since 1984.
Well, the key would be, can Josh Worst beat Porter? This is the first link to the upset, but the bigger link will be at 275. Worst now needs injury time. He may have an injury on the knee.
You're going to have to say that Josh Worst would be considered the favorite. Josh, again, has not wrestled this year, but as a returning district runner-up, he was 24-7 last year. Chris Porter is 1-6 and a sophomore, but Porter weighs 248 pounds to Worst's 217.
Well, we're under a minute. Worst leads by a point, 4-3. He has to avoid being taken down. I do not know if there have been any stalling warnings as yet. I don't think so.
No, they're letting these guys go at it. Up to this point, anyhow.
Now they stop the injury time.
Let's see where Worst gets injured here. Right there at the end. 1 minute of injury time, I believe, was used up.
Roncaroni's going to press the action. There has been no stalling. Somebody's nose plug fell out from a nosebleed. Again, we're going to start the blood clock. It's going to give Worst another bit of a break over here. Who's bleeding this time? I guess it's Worst.
It's Worst.
Mark Hall trying to show him what he wants him to do when Roncaroni shoots at him. So he's getting a little bit of a break. He's going to get a little bit of water. They're attending to the bloody nose.
Looking for wrestling gear? Jack Kubo's Wrestling Warehouse is the place. 1-800-455-9558. Let us handle all your wrestling needs.
Roncaroni comes in on a collar tie. Worst battles back. They go out of bounds. 45 seconds to wrestle in the bout. Del Val coaches want Worst to move forward. You push into Roncaroni, Mark Hall tells him. And he doesn't. They go out of bounds. 38.5 seconds to wrestle. His brother Josh now is coming into the fray. He's giving him some instructions.
They're telling him to settle down. He's got to go up next.
Roncaroni pushes. They haven't called stalling in this entire bout. I could see perhaps a warning, but I can't imagine giving up a point. He's going to give up a takedown.
Oh, right at the line.
That's the worst thing he could have done. He turned and gave it up. He was trying to get out of bounds. He gave Roncaroni his other leg. He's got a score here to tie it. Worst stands. Roncaroni now locks on the leg. Worst is going to try for reversal. He's going to get it. He has two here, Doug. He has two.
They're not calling it.
I can't believe we're not giving him a reversal. I don't think they want to make the tough call here at Phillipsburg.
Well, the scoreboard got yanked.
Looked to me like he came up on top. I'm not sure why they didn't give it. I'd like to see it again. Here we're going to see the takedown. Here's Worst decision. He's going to turn away and try to dive away. Right there, Roncaroni was out of bounds. His knee hit, but they let him wrestle. Easy to call it here from the side when we see it on replay, though.
So Phillipsburg has iced it 27-19.
Guy Siraki actually looked. Let's watch here. Tell you what, if he could get his hips up on top, no question. That, in my mind, right there, it looked worse than it was earlier. Phillipsburg has control of the leg. He must. But Worst was that close to getting his hips on top and establishing control.
So we go to heavyweight. Chris Porter on the mat for Phillipsburg. He's a sophomore at 1-6, taking on senior Josh Worst, who was in his first varsity match of the year.
Watch Worst beat Porter, and Del Val's going to go home and think about a dozen ways they could have beaten Phillipsburg tonight. I'll tell you what, this is a great dual meet. Josh Worst leads 2-0, takes Porter down. Chris Ford of the bigger heavyweight.
All 4 close matchups. Actually, 4 of the 5 close matchups tonight.
Some great wrestling here tonight at the pit, Doug.
Schumacher winning at 189 was another one. 4 of the 5 close ones go to Phillipsburg, and you got to throw in those 3 majors from 103 to 119.
We also mentioned the third period going P-Berg's way. Last bout was a clear case in point. Jeremy Wurst, I would say, out-wrestled Roncaroni for over 5 minutes of the bout. And in the last minute, Roncaroni was able to pull it out and beat the smaller of the Wurst twins, Jeremy Wurst. Fans got their money's worth here tonight at the P-Berg pit.
Yes, they did.
As the lights start to come up in the arena. Porter gains a neutral, cuts the lead to 2-1, under a minute in the first period. An entertaining 275-pound matchup. Porter's just under 250 pounds. Wurst tries a headlock. He may pin Porter with the headlock, and he has him glued right there. 27-25, P-Berg wins. And P-Berg's going to go out here knowing that they're fortunate to pull a win out here against Del Val tonight, who certainly were very representative and wrestled a very tough bout in the dual meet.
Welcome back to the pit. Doug Heater along with Jake Llewellyn. And Jake, you said it. We had another fantastic matchup tonight. 27-25. You say the score might be misleading because of the fact that Del Val got those 6 points to pull this too, but this came down to 2:15. This was a wild one, and I don't think a lot of people here from Phillipsburg thought at some point in this match that it was going to stay this close.
Doug, you said at 189 the crowd got very quiet, and they sure did. They certainly were a little bit scared that Del Val was going to knock them off. There you see the graphic come up on your screen. But I think that Del Val really wrestled an outstanding bout. It's going to make them tougher throughout the rest of the season. P-Berg knows they escaped tonight with a victory against a tough team. I think P-Berg got all the breaks. They won the close matches. And I don't want to say the officials factored in. I thought they did a very good job. When you come into the pit, and the home mat advantage certainly was P-Berg's. I think P-Berg got a lot of the close calls go their way.
The first 3, all 3 majors, they talk about limiting the bonus points. Now, those were the only bonus points for Phillipsburg for those 3 majors. Del Val evened it out with 2 falls, but starting like they did. And in those close ones, we talked about 4 of the 5 being close. McRoberts at 130, Kohler at 145, which was that wild finish with Rosinski. And then 3-0 Schumacher for Del Val 189, their only win, and Roncaroni winning that one at 2:15.
Well, do you know what? If the match had been tied, P-Berg would have won it on, I think, 8 wins to 6.
It was 8-6, yeah.
But if you take a look at the first 2, 9-1 and 10-2, had they not been majors, they just made it. 8-point swing in both of them, 8-point difference. Those were the 2 team points that were the difference. It would have been 25-25, but P-Berg still would have won the match as a result of criteria, 8 wins to 6. But I'll tell you what, it was a great dual meet. I think Del Val was that close to knocking off P-Berg despite how many bouts they won. And I really think that there were a couple calls that were questionable. The bigger or the smaller Wurst, Jeremy Wurst at 2:15, looked like he reversed his opponent. In fact, it looked before the buzzer like he had more of a reversal than he did when the buzzer sounded. But it sure looked like he came up on top of the opponent. P-Berg hung on to win there, a tough match, 5-4, and that was a critical battle. Went right down to 2:15, and then they pinned it heavyweight to make it closer.
Hope you fans out there enjoyed this one. We did. Another outstanding match on TV2. Phillipsburg defeats Delaware Valley tonight, 27-25 from the pit. For our director tonight, Dwayne Long, and my partner, Jake Llewellyn, and for everybody here at TV2, I'm Doug Heater saying good night from Phillipsburg.
So long.